November 14th, 1943, the North Atlantic, a top-secret convoy carrying the President of the United States toward the Tehran Conference, perhaps the most crucial Allied meeting of the entire war. Suddenly, alarms scream across the USS Iowa, the mightiest battleship in the American fleet. A live torpedo, armed, deadly, racing through the dark water at 46 knots, is heading straight for Franklin Delano Roosevelt. But this isn't a German U-boat attack. This isn't a Japanese submarine that somehow crossed half the world. No, the torpedo was fired by an American destroyer, our own ship. Her name was USS William D. Porter, DD 579. The sailors called her Willie D. And this was just another Tuesday for the unluckiest ship in naval history. To understand Willie D's curse, we must go back to her beginning. To understand how a ship could become synonymous with disaster, we need to visit a shipyard in Orange, Texas, where hope still burned bright. The Gulf Shipbuilding Corporation launched DD 579 on September 27, 1942. She was a Fletcher-class destroyer, and let me tell you something about the Fletcher class. These weren't just ships. They were the workhorses that would define American naval power in the Pacific. 376 feet of welded steel, 2,700 tons fully loaded, 4 5-inch 38 caliber guns in enclosed turrets, a revolutionary design that protected the gun crews from the elements and enemy fire, 10 21-inch torpedo tubes, depth charges, anti-aircraft guns. She could make 37 knots in calm seas, faster than most submarines could dive. The Fletcher-class destroyers represented everything America's industrial might could achieve. We built 175 of them. They were tough, reliable, and deadly. Kaiser's shipyards, Bethlehem Steel, Gulf Shipbuilding, they were turning them out at a pace that terrified our enemies. This was American manufacturing at its absolute peak, folks. The arsenal of democracy wasn't just a slogan. It was a reality hammered into steel and riveted into history. But Willie D was different. She was named after Commodore William David Porter, a Civil War naval hero who'd served with distinction, a man of courage, a man of honor. If there's an afterlife where naval officers watch over their namesake ships, I imagine Commodore Porter spent a lot of time with his head in his hands. The ship's first commanding officer was Lieutenant Commander Wilfred Walker. By all accounts, a competent officer. Not brilliant perhaps, but steady. Reliable. The kind of man the Navy built itself upon. He would need every ounce of that steadiness in the months to come. Willie D received her commission on July 6, 1943 at the New Orleans Navy Yard. Picture that day, the bunting flying, the brass band playing, the crew standing proud in their dress whites. Young men, most of them. Boys, really. Kids from Iowa and Tennessee and New York who'd never seen the ocean until the Navy put them on it. They had no idea what they were signing up for. October 1943, Norfolk, Virginia. Willie D's first major assignment arrives, and it's the assignment every destroyer captain dreams of. Escort duty for a convoy carrying President Franklin Delano Roosevelt to the Tehran Conference, where he'd meet with Churchill and Stalin to plan the final defeat of Nazi Germany. The escort group included the battleship USS Iowa, BB-61, the pride of the fleet, 60,000 tons of American firepower. Accompanying her were 3 destroyers, USS William D. Porter, USS the Sullivans, and USS Ellison. This wasn't just any convoy. This was the convoy. The security was absolute. Radio silence was mandatory. The route was classified top secret. For Willie D, it should have been a milk run, an honour, a chance to prove herself. It lasted approximately 45 minutes before everything went wrong. November the 12th, 1943, Willie D casts off from Norfolk. The morning is grey, the kind of grey that seeps into your bones and makes you question whether the sun even exists anymore. The crew is nervous. Presidential escort, first major operation, everyone's watching. As Willie D backs away from the pier, her anchor, which should have been secured, which was supposed to be secured, catches on something. The exact sequence of events remains disputed among the survivors' accounts, but what's certain is this. Willie D's anchor tears through the side of a nearby ship. Not just any ship. A ship already loaded with ammunition and supplies ready for deployment. The sound, imagine fingernails on a chalkboard, but made of steel and magnified 1,000 times. The shriek of metal tearing through metal. Depth charges torn loose. Life rafts shredded. Equipment scattered across the dock like a child's toys. Lieutenant Commander Walker stands on the bridge watching his first major operation disintegrate before it's even begun. What do you say? What can you say? The crew is mortified. The dock workers are furious, and somewhere in the convoy aboard the Iowa eyes are watching, noting, judging, but orders are orders. The convoy can't wait. Willie D limps into formation, and they head out into the Atlantic. The convoy's route took them across the North Atlantic, one of the most treacherous bodies of water on Earth, especially in November. The Atlantic in winter is not kind to small ships. Destroyers like Willie D, despite their size, are built for speed and maneuverability, not comfort. They roll with every wave, they pitch in every swell. Down in the engine rooms it's 120 degrees. On deck the spray freezes on the railings. The Fletcher-class destroyers had a theoretical range of 6,000 nautical miles at 15 knots, but that was in calm seas. In the North Atlantic in November, you burned fuel like it was going out of style just maintaining station, 3 days out. November 15th. The convoy is maintaining strict radio silence, zigzagging across the Atlantic to avoid any potential U-boat wolfpacks. The German submarine threat is very real. Just months earlier, U-boats had been sinking Allied ships at a rate that nearly crippled the war effort. Only the breaking of the Enigma codes and improved convoy tactics had turned the tide. Willie D is keeping station, scanning the horizon, when suddenly, boom! A massive explosion erupts from Willie D's stern. The entire convoy goes to battle stations. Every ship assumes U-boat attack. Depth charges are readied. Sonar operators press their headphones tight, listening for the telltale ping of a submarine. The Iowa's massive guns train outward, searching for a target. This is it. The moment they've all been drilling for. Enemy contact. The President of the United States is potentially under attack. Except there's no submarine. What happened, and this is according to multiple crew member accounts recorded in post-war interviews, is that a depth charge somehow rolled off its rack and exploded in Willie D's wake. How this happened is still debated. Rough seas, improper securing, human error. The official inquiry would later cite faulty equipment, that wonderful catch-all phrase the Navy uses when they don't want to directly blame anyone. But the result is chaos. The convoy scatters. Destroyers crisscross the area, dropping depth charges on phantom targets. For 30 minutes, the North Atlantic erupts in a fireworks display of explosions and confusion, all because Willie D couldn't keep her depth charges attached to the ship. When the confusion finally clears, Willie D receives a terse message from the Iowa. Resume station. 2 words, but you can hear the disappointment in them. The crew thinks it can't get worse. They're so wrong. That night, as Willie D plows through heavy seas, and maintaining her position in the convoy, a massive wave, the kind that appears out of nowhere in the North Atlantic, a rogue wall of water 20 feet high, crashes over her bow. Seaman Second Class Lawton Dawson is on deck. He's 19 years old, from Kansas. Never saw the ocean before joining the Navy. The wave catches him, lifts him, and carries him over the side. Gone, just gone. Man overboard in the North Atlantic in November. The water temperature is maybe 40 degrees. You have minutes before hypothermia shuts down your body. The convoy is under strict radio silence. They can't break it, not even for this. Willie D turns back, searchlight sweeping the black water, but it's like looking for a specific grain of sand on a beach. According to survivor accounts, they never found him. Lawton Dawson became another name on the wall, another boy who went to sea and never came home. The crew is devastated, but Willie D's curse isn't finished yet. The next day, November 16th, Willie D's boilers fail. Just quit. The engineering crew scrambles, working in those 120-degree engine rooms trying to get her moving again. For 3 hours, Willie D drifts dead in the water while the convoy circles. 3 incidents in 5 days. The crew is starting to believe they're cursed. The other ships are starting to believe it too. But what comes next will make everything else look like a minor inconvenience. November 14th, 1943. Day 6 of the voyage. The convoy is approaching Bermuda. The weather has improved. The seas are calmer. The sun actually makes an appearance. Lieutenant Commander Walker decides it's a good time for some training exercises. Now, understand something about destroyer crews in 1943. These boys train constantly. Gunnery drills, damage control drills, anti-submarine drills. It's how you stay sharp. It's how you stay alive when the real shooting starts. Walker's decision to run some exercises is not just reasonable, it's expected. It's good seamanship. The exercise is simple. Practice torpedo firing procedures. Not actually firing torpedoes, you understand, just running through the targeting calculations, the mechanical procedures, everything except pulling the actual trigger. These are Mark 15 torpedoes, folks. 21 inches in diameter, 3,500 pounds each, carrying 580 pounds of high explosive. Enough to break a heavy cruiser's back. You don't play around with these things. The Mark 15 torpedo was actually an improved version of the notoriously unreliable Mark 14. The Mark 14s had plagued submarines throughout 1942 and early 1943. They'd run too deep. Their magnetic detonators wouldn't work. Sometimes they'd circle back on the submarine that fired them. The Navy had finally sorted out most of those problems by late 1943, so the Mark 15 Willie D's carried was supposed to be reliable. Supposed to be. The drill begins. Willie D's torpedo crew goes through their procedures, training the tubes, calculating firing solutions. Everything is simulated. The primers aren't inserted, the firing circuits aren't energized. It's all practice, safe, routine. Except someone, and to this day, the identity remains officially unclear, though scuttlebutt pointed to a young torpedoman whose name was kept out of official records. Someone either didn't remove a primer or accidentally energized a firing circuit. At 14:36 hours, Willie D fires a live torpedo at the USS Iowa, carrying the President of the United States. Imagine you're Lieutenant Commander Walker. You're on the bridge. You've just completed what you thought was a successful training exercise. You're feeling pretty good. Finally, something went right. Then your torpedo officer comes running up to the bridge, his face white as snow, and says, "Captain, we actually fired one." "You what?" "We fired a torpedo at the Iowa, a real one, with the President aboard." This is the moment. This is the moment where Walker realizes his career is over. His life, as he knows it, is finished. History will not remember him kindly. But first, he has to try to fix it. The Mark 15 torpedo travels at 46 knots. It's got a range of 6,000 yards at that speed. The Iowa is approximately 6,000 yards away. Willie D has maybe 7 minutes? Maybe 8 before that torpedo reaches the most important ship in the United States Navy. Radio silence is still in effect. Breaking it is a court-martial offense. Not breaking it means the President of the United States might die. Walker makes the only decision he can, break radio silence. "Lion, Lion, come right," Walker screams into the radio. Lion is the Iowa's code name. On the Iowa's bridge, confusion reigns. Who's breaking radio silence? What's happening? Come right? Why? Willie D tries again. Torpedo in the water. Now there's panic. The Iowa's lookouts scan the water. The destroyer escorts go to battle stations. Everyone's looking for a submarine. They still think this is a U-boat attack. Willie D, in her panic, sends another signal, and this is where things go from disaster to absolute farce. Torpedo in water heading away from you. Heading away? That makes no sense. If there's a torpedo heading away from the Iowa, why the alarm? Then another message, even more confusing. Willie D coming alongside. No, that's the last thing the Iowa wants right now. Stay away. There's apparently a torpedo in the water, and Willie D wants to come closer. Finally, someone on Willie D sends a clear message. We fired torpedo at you, recommend emergency turn. On the Iowa's bridge, the moment crystallizes. An American destroyer just shot at the President. The Secret Service grabs Roosevelt, who, remember, is paralyzed from polio and can't move quickly, and they're trying to get him below decks. But Roosevelt won't go. He orders his wheelchair brought to the railing. He wants to see the torpedo. Can you imagine? The President of the United States, the man leading the nation through the greatest war in history, calmly sitting on deck, watching a torpedo that might kill him knife through the water toward his ship. Admiral Ernest King, yes, that Admiral King, Commander-in-Chief of the US Fleet, possibly the toughest, meanest, most unforgiving officer in the entire Navy, is aboard the Iowa. The expression on his face is reportedly beyond description. The Iowa, all 60,000 tons of her, begins a hard turn to starboard. These battleships are not nimble, they don't dance, but her crew throws everything into it, and slowly, agonizingly slowly, the Iowa's bow starts to swing. The torpedo races closer. 500 yards, 300, 100. It passes along the Iowa's port side, missing by perhaps 30 yards. Maybe less. Some accounts say they could see it. The wake in the water, the phosphorescence of its passing. The torpedo continues on, running until its fuel is exhausted, then sinks harmlessly into the Atlantic. The Iowa signals Willie D, "Come alongside." It's not an invitation, it's an order. As Willie D approaches the Iowa, creeping forward like a dog that knows it's in trouble, the entire crew of the Iowa lines the rails, thousands of sailors all watching. And as Willie D comes alongside, one of the Iowa's sailors picks up a megaphone and shouts across the water, "Nice shooting, Willie!" It's meant as a joke, dark Navy humour, but it doesn't feel funny, not to Willie D's crew. When Willie D ties up, the Secret Service boards her. Not the Navy, the Secret Service. They arrest the entire torpedo crew, every single one of them. They're taken aboard the Iowa in handcuffs. Lieutenant Commander Walker is summoned to Admiral King's cabin. What was said in that meeting has never been fully disclosed, but Walker emerged looking like he'd aged 10 years. The official inquiry would later determine that the incident was due to personnel error combined with mechanical failure, which is Navy speak for somebody really screwed up, but we're not going to entirely destroy their career. The torpedo crew was eventually released. They hadn't acted with malicious intent after all, but Willie D? Willie D was finished as far as prestigious assignments went. The story spread throughout the fleet at the speed of radio waves. Within days, every sailor in the Atlantic and Pacific theatres had heard about the ship that shot at FDR. Willie D became a punchline, a cautionary tale, the unluckiest ship in the Navy. Other ships would signal Willie D as they passed. "Don't shoot! I'm not the President. Is the President aboard? Better check before Willie D comes alongside." The crew tried to take it in stride. What else could they do? But it wore on them. Every time they pulled into port, every time they joined a new task force, they could feel the eyes on them, the whispers. That's Willie D. That's the ship that almost killed Roosevelt. Think about those boys for a moment. Most of them 18, 19, 20 years old. They joined the Navy to serve their country, to fight fascism, to be heroes. Instead, they're the butt of every joke in the fleet. But here's the thing, and this is important. They kept serving. They kept doing their jobs. Despite the reputation, despite the jokes, despite the crushing weight of being known as that ship, Willie D's crew stayed at their stations. They stood their watches. They followed their orders, because that's what sailors do. After the Roosevelt incident, Willie D was sent about as far from the Atlantic Fleet as the Navy could manage, the Pacific Theatre. She arrived at Pearl Harbor in December 1943, joining the massive build-up for the island-hopping campaign that would carry American forces across the Pacific toward Japan. This was a different war than the Atlantic. No more convoy escort duty. No more presidential assignments. Willie D would be doing the dirty work, shore bombardment, anti-aircraft picket duty, screening larger vessels during amphibious assaults. It was dangerous work, unglamorous. The kind of duty where you could die without anyone at home ever hearing your name. Willie D participated in the Marshall Islands campaign in early 1944. She bombarded Japanese positions on Kwajalein Atoll, her 5-inch guns hammering away at bunkers and gun emplacements. No accidents, no mishaps, just professional, competent fire support. She was at the Marianas in June 1944, Saipan, Tinian, Guam. She screened the carriers during the Battle of the Philippine Sea, that massive carrier engagement the pilots called the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot. Willie D's anti-aircraft crews splashed 2 Japanese planes, 2 confirmed kills. The crew was starting to feel like maybe they could live down their reputation. At Leyte Gulf in October 1944, Willie D was part of the largest naval battle in history. She performed escort and screening duties during the complex multi-day engagement that effectively destroyed the Japanese Navy as a fighting force. Again, no incidents, just solid professional work. The crew was changing too. Some of the original members had rotated out, replaced by new sailors who'd only heard the stories second-hand. Lieutenant Commander Walker had been reassigned, not as punishment, but as part of normal rotation. Willie D's new captain was focused on moving forward, not dwelling on the past. By early 1945, Willie D had compiled a respectable record. Not distinguished, perhaps, not the stuff of Navy legend, but respectable, honourable, the kind of record built by thousands of destroyers doing their duty in a global war. And then came Okinawa. The invasion of Okinawa, Operation Iceberg, began on April 1st, 1945. It would become the bloodiest battle of the Pacific War. 82 days of hell. The Japanese, knowing they were fighting on their doorstep, defended with fanatical intensity. and they introduced a new weapon, the kamikaze on an industrial scale. We'd seen suicide attacks before Okinawa, but nothing like this. The Japanese were throwing everything they had at the invasion fleet, waves of planes, piloted by boys barely older than the sailors they were trying to kill, deliberately crashing into American ships. Destroyers on radar picket duty took the worst of it. These ships would station themselves between the invasion fleet and incoming Japanese aircraft, using their radar to provide early warning. They were meant to be spotters, but they inevitably became targets. Sitting ducks. Willie D drew picket duty. By 1945, Fletcher-class destroyers had been upgunned significantly from their original configuration. Willie D now carried additional 40mm Bofors anti-aircraft guns and 20mm Oerlikon cannons. Every available space on deck bristled with anti-aircraft weapons. The crew had trained endlessly on anti-aircraft procedures. They could load, aim, and fire in their sleep. They would need every bit of that training. June 10th, 1945. Willie D is on radar picket station RP-15A, about 75 miles northwest of Okinawa. It's hot. The kind of wet, oppressive heat that makes your uniform stick to your skin and your coffee taste like salt. The sea is calm, almost too calm. At 08:15 hours, radar picks up multiple bogies inbound. Range, 40 miles. Speed, approximately 250 knots. The count keeps going up as the operators watch their scopes. 10 contacts, 15, 20. This isn't a single kamikaze, it's a raid. Willie D sounds general quarters. The crew races to battle stations. They've done this dozens of times, but your heart still pounds. Your mouth still goes dry, because you know that some of those planes are coming for you. The combat air patrol, friendly fighters, is vectored toward the incoming raid. Willie D can hear the radio chatter as Marine Corsairs and Navy Hellcats engage the Japanese planes. Some of the bogies disappear from radar, shot down, but others keep coming. At 10 miles, Willie D's crew can see them, dark specks against the blue sky, growing larger. They're twin-engine bombers, converted into flying bombs. Some accounts identify them as Ki-67 Peggy bombers, though exact identification in the chaos of battle is always uncertain. 5 miles. Willie D's 5-inch guns open up. The sound is incredible, a rhythmic boom, boom, boom that you feel in your chest. Shellbursts bloom in the sky like black flowers. 3 miles. The 40mm Bofors join in, their faster rate of fire creating a curtain of steel. 1 mile. The 20mm Oerlikons add their voice to the chorus. The noise is beyond description. The smell of cordite is so thick you can barely breathe. And still, they come. Willie D's gunners are good, damn good. They splash one kamikaze at 800 yards, another at 500. A third catches fire and spirals into the sea at 300 yards. But one plane keeps coming. The pilot is wounded. Willie D's gunners have hit the aircraft multiple times. You can see the damage, see the smoke trailing from the engine. But the pilot holds his course, aiming for Willie D's bridge. At the last moment, the very last moment, Willie D's gunners score direct hits. The plane lurches, loses control, banks away from the ship. For one beautiful second, the crew thinks they've done it. They've survived. They've beaten the kamikaze. Then the crippled bomber, already dying, but still carrying hundreds of pounds of explosives, crashes into the water directly beneath Willie D's hull. The explosion is massive. It lifts Willie D's stern 3 feet out of the water. The shock wave ripples through the entire ship. Down in the engineering spaces, pipes burst. Steam erupts. Men are thrown against bulkheads. The damage reports flood the bridge, flooding in the after engine room, fire in the after magazine. The stern is twisting, the ship's back broken by the underwater explosion. Willie D's crew fights. Lord, how they fight! Damage control parties attack the fires. Engineers wade through waist-deep water trying to shore up bulkheads, but the flooding is too severe. The fires are too hot. The ship is dying. At 09:20 hours, barely an hour after the attack began, Lieutenant Commander Walker's successor gives the order no captain wants to give. Abandon ship. The crew goes over the side in good order. No panic, no stampede. These are professional sailors even now, especially now. They help each other into life rafts, pull the wounded to safety, count heads to make sure no one's left behind. Willie D settles lower in the water. Her bow lifts as her stern goes down. She's going fast now. Fletcher-class destroyers aren't built to take damage like battleships. When they die quickly. At 09:45 hours, USS William D. Porter, DD-579, slides beneath the waves. Remarkably, not a single man is killed. Every member of Willie D's crew is pulled from the water by accompanying destroyers. In a battle that saw thousands die, in a campaign that consumed entire ships with all hands, Willie D's crew survives. Even in death, Willie D is unique. So what do we make of Willie D? How do we remember the unluckiest ship in naval history? The easy answer, the one the jokes and the stories push us toward, is to laugh. To see Willie D as cosmic comedy, as proof that sometimes the universe just picks on somebody. To remember her as the ship that couldn't catch a break, that shot at the president, that managed to sink herself through sheer bad luck. But I think we owe Willie D and her crew more than that. Because here's what else Willie D's record shows. She participated in every major Pacific campaign from December 1943 to June 1945. She provided fire support for amphibious assaults. She screened carriers. She splashed enemy aircraft. She did her duty mission after mission, despite a reputation that would have broken lesser crews. Those boys, because that's what most of them were boys, could have given up. They could have requested transfers. They could have let the jokes and the shame define them. Instead, they went to work. Every day, every watch, every battle. When that kamikaze came at them on June 10th, 1945, Willie D's crew didn't flinch. They stood at their guns and fought, and when their ship was sinking beneath them, they helped each other. They saved each other. Not a single man lost. That's not bad luck. That's courage. That's brotherhood. The survivors of Willie D went on with their lives. They came home, married, had children, built careers. Some of them kept in touch. There were reunions, letters, phone calls. They'd tell the stories, laugh at the memories, but there was always something else there. Pride. Not in being unlucky, but in having served together, in having survived together. Lieutenant Commander Wilfred Walker, the captain who endured the torpedo incident, went on to command other vessels. He never spoke publicly about Willie D, but his service record shows a man who continued serving with distinction until his retirement in 1957. The weight of command, the burden of that one decision to run a training exercise, must have stayed with him for the rest of his life, but he carried it. The wreck of Willie D still lies somewhere in the waters off Okinawa, 1,700 feet down. The exact location was never precisely recorded. In the chaos of Okinawa, with ships sinking every day, precise coordinates weren't always a priority. She rests there with dozens of other American and Japanese ships, a graveyard of steel and memory beneath the waves. We live in an age where we talk a lot about luck, good luck, bad luck, being in the right place at the right time. We see luck as something that happens to us, something beyond our control. But Willie D's story suggests something different. It suggests that luck, good or bad, is less important than what you do with it. How you respond when everything goes wrong. How you carry on when everyone's watching you fail. Those boys on Willie D didn't choose to be unlucky. They didn't choose to be the butt of every joke in the fleet. They didn't choose to have their ship sink beneath them in the final months of the war. But they chose how to respond. They chose dignity. They chose duty. They chose each other. In 1945, America built tens of thousands of ships. We built carriers and battleships and cruisers and destroyers at a pace that still staggers the imagination. Most of those ships have been forgotten. Their names survive only in official records and fading photographs. But we remember Willie D. We remember her not because she was unlucky, but because her crew showed us what it means to serve with honour, even when fortune turns against you. They showed us that courage isn't about never failing. It's about getting back up every time you do. It's about standing your watch. It's about looking out for the man next to you. That's worth remembering. That's worth honouring. The next time you hear someone talk about having a bad day, about nothing going right, about being cursed with bad luck, tell them about Willie D. Tell them about a ship that accidentally shot at the president and still went on to serve with distinction. Tell them about sailors who became a joke and still stood at their guns when the kamikazes came. Tell them that luck matters less than character, that reputation matters less than duty, that where you start matters less than how you finish. Willie D finished with her crew alive, with her honour intact, with her duty done. That's not bad luck. That's a legacy. To the crew of USS William D. Porter, DD-579, and to all those who serve,